Hello. So today we're going to be talking about how laws protect us outside of our own country. Most of us know that these same laws protect us when we're in our own country, but then when we cross an international border, like for studying, working, or even simply traveling, these rights may change or may have some different factors in them. So we're mainly going to be speaking of three main topics, which are the rights of foreigners, the consular protection, and what happens in cases of dual nationality or in cases where laws have to be taken to an extreme. First, being a foreigner doesn't really mean having no rights. International human rights law recognizes some basic rights that apply to people regardless of their nationality. At the same time, when a person enters another country, they are generally subject to the laws and jurisdiction of that said country. This creates an important distinction. The country they are visiting has sovereignty over its territory, and its legal system applies to every person in it. So, nationality is not equal to immunity from foreign law. This is one of the most important things to understand when talking about legal rights while traveling. Now, in a more serious situation, let's suppose that a Mexican citizen is arrested while traveling in another country. Mexico and its consulate from this country doesn't necessarily have the power to release them or to excuse them, but the person does have the right for to a consular notification. So basically, when a foreign national is arrested or detained by the authorities, these must inform the person about their right to notify the consulate. After being notified, the Mexican consulates provide assistance to make sure the rights of their nationals are being respected and everything is in order. This means that the Mexican consulate can communicate with the person, visit them when permitted, and they can provide information about the legal system as well as finding their appropriate legal assistance without it being illegal or without getting any worse. A real legal example of this is one from a couple of years ago. A Mexican was arrested and convicted in Texas, and during his criminal proceedings, he was not properly informed of his right to have a consulate notified. And Mexico later brought this issue before the International Court of Justice, and it was determined that the U.S. had violated its obligations, and their convictions and sentences will receive appropriate review, and they had to be considered because of the legal controversy that it created. This was a legal problem because, on one side, the international law had recognized that consular rights had been violated, but on the other side, the U.S. legal system had its own rules about how international decisions become enforceable within the country, and it was a big deal. Finally, what changes with a person has a dual nationality? Suppose that someone is both Mexican and, I don't know, American. Mexico recognizes a dual nationality for Mexicans by birth, which means that they can have a Mexican nationality while also being a citizen of another country. This has some advantages, like the rights and opportunities that connect both nationalities, but it can also complicate legal situations. It depends on the Secretary of Foreign Affairs, on the laws, on the international laws, and on some specific situations. But as a general principle, the country where the person physically is located exercises the jurisdiction over its territory. So, in conclusion, being in another country doesn't mean that we're losing our fundamental rights, and nationality can give us access to consular assistance when we're abroad. And having a dual nationality can provide additional opportunities and rights, but it can also create complicated legal responsibilities. Traveling internationally means entering a different legal environment, so it's really important to be educated on this topic. Thank you.